But at the end of the day, as a hockey fan, incredible to watch.
Give the man some credit.
Yeah.
Bow down to McJesus.
Jeez. Andi Petrillo and Dave Feschuk here in studio. Leafs Lunch TSN 1050 streaming online on the app. The Leafs the victim of that, and they lose 6-4 to the Edmonton Oilers. Jason Strudwick's going to be joining us shortly, former NHL defenseman. I'm curious to know if anyone's ever done that to him. To what extent? Like, is there a goal he gave up, like where there's a one-on-one situation that just still is burned in his brain?
Did he ever get dunked on?
That's it. It's the dunk shot poster. That's what I called it.
I like it.
Yeah, that was all these incredible posters you'd put up, the basketball player with that awesome dunk, but then there was always that one guy getting dunked on, and you never wanted to be that guy in the poster. And to me, that was the dunk shot poster, right? You don't want to be Morgan Rielly, because that will live on for a very long time as we bring in Jason Strudwick, host of TSN 1260 Edmonton. Couldn't get enough of you, my friend. I was on your show yesterday, so I wanted you on our show today. How's it going?
I'm great. Everyone in Edmonton's pretty happy today. They're walking a little taller.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Listen, it was a win, obviously, and then that spectacular goal by the guy who, we had been talking about, 1 assist in 3 games in Toronto, and then last night 4 points with 3 assists and a goal. But the first question I do have to ask is, did that ever happen to you? Do you have a recollection of someone who did something to you where you're like, man, I will never live that goal down?
You know what? I'm sure it has. I can't remember a specific one because what I've done is I had them blocked out.
Oh, yeah.
Like Men in Black when they just go and do it. Because as a D-man, if you think of that, it is just awful, and you cannot you can't function that way. As soon as I saw that, I go back to, I think when it was at Mary Lemieux went around Ray Bourque, and we see that all the time. And Ray Bourque is, in my opinion, one of the top 5 defensemen ever put skates on. So if it's going to happen to Ray Bourque, it's definitely going to happen to Jason Strudwick. Maybe I was just lucky because the third and fourth liners weren't as good that I played against as the top liners that could dangle around guys like that.
I was wondering if maybe you were starting to get like a little twitch when you saw that happening, because like that memory was trying to force its way through. But obviously, we're reacting to it here. There were a ton of Leafs fans in the building last night who rightfully so got up on their feet. They were clapping because you have to acknowledge when you see something pretty great. What is everyone saying there? Is it the win that you're talking about, or is it the goal?
Well, I think it's quite frankly the goal is huge, and that's what everyone's talking around their offices today. But the win is critical. The Oilers went through a stretch where they really struggled. Mike Smith had been, there's been some doubts creating to the fans about the way he's playing. The 2 leaders, McDavid and Draisaitl, maybe just, cooled down a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, the last couple of games, specifically on this road trip, I guess going back to the Rangers game on New Year's Eve, they're getting points, they're getting wins, and it's the way they're playing. The way they're playing, and they have McDavid and Draisaitl separated, and they're getting these points. And there's, I'm not going to lie, I thought there was no chance to get 2 points last night or 2 points in Boston. We're sitting here talking now about a team that got 4 points out of really tough buildings to play in. And to be fair, very good hockey teams. Boston, Toronto are very good hockey teams in my opinion. So, it's a huge thing. So the goal is what everyone's excited. But when you look back, maybe a month from now, we think, man, those 2 wins were huge for this team moving forward.
So, Jason, there was a lot of talk around the Edmonton room, less so around the Leafs room, where people didn't want to talk about the goal, but talking about how Connor McDavid scored that goal, what you might have done to defend that goal. I think Oscar Klefbom said he would have basically lied down and hoped McDavid lost the puck because that might have been his only chance. As a professional defenseman yourself who played 600-plus games in the NHL, what would you have recommended there for Morgan Rielly to do differently?
Well, he probably should have changed. You know what? I remember one of my first NHL games. Our coach Mike Milbury, the ultimate hockey genius, he came to me and said, "When Mario or Yager go on the ice, you change." I'm like, "Anytime?" He's like, "Anytime." So we were at the long change. They were in our end. And those 2 guys came out, and I hear, "Struddy, change." And I look over, I'm like, "You'd rather me change and leave it 5-on-4 than me stay out here?" So that was a real boost to my confidence. So, luckily Morgan Rielly doesn't have that issue. But no, in all seriousness, for Morgan Rielly, like I've looked at a lot of times, and with Connor, you just try to stay between him and the net. That sounds so basic, so simple, but he is in that spot. The problem is that Connor kind of sets him up, and he cuts back quicker than I've ever seen anyone cut back. That was a ridiculous cutback. If he was on the other side, I don't think he could have cut back as quickly because he would have been on kind of his, the offside, I guess, or sorry, his strong side where you pull it back to your backhand or to your forehand. He was able to pull it back to your backhand, which is a quicker move for a forward to do. So, Morgan Riley was unfortunately just in a bad place. And it is sickening because I've been saying this since McDavid came in, is that he makes top NHL defensemen look like they're 8, 9, 10 years old. And you just have to say, you know what, he got me. And I'm sure Morgan and Connor will laugh about it when they get together, and maybe Morgan will cry. But it is just unfortunate, and he'll do it again. He's going to do it to elite defensemen. He's that quick. And as a D-man, if I was a D-man coach, I'd say, you know what, good job, whatever. Just don't try not to let it happen again.
Yeah, no. I mean, let's not forget Morgan Riley, right? Finished 5th in Norris voting last year. I mean, this is a guy who's considered top 5 in the league at least last season. Jason Strudwick joining us here. Where would you rank that goal? I mean, you've obviously seen a lot of Connor McDavid goals, and maybe this is a little bit of recency bias because it was, pretty spectacular. But I'm just wondering if there are other ones that stand out to you, or does this one take the cake?
It's an unreal goal. I still like the one against Columbus where he breaks in. I think there's 2 or 3 guys around him, and he does that quick little move. There was one against Dallas where he quickly got it off the short side. But I still like the Columbus one. I mean, this one was amazing last night. But I mean, this sounds awful, but he only kind of beat one guy, and plus the goalie. And I know that sounds a little bit, maybe snobby, but the one against Columbus, he was in so much traffic, the puck control, the body control, all that stuff. It was an unbelievable goal. I think that was the first game he was back from his injury, if I remember correctly. So that one still ranks out as the top one for me.